Roundtable and goal checkup, so we've got, let's see. We've got a lot of slides. And I really want to focus on. What I said, let's try to figure out what questions we have, let's try to solve them together. And again, I don't even mind if, what we can do to improve. What Stacy worked so hard on. She wants to tell you a little bit about me. I bought my first duplex in 1990. I was 22 years old, still in the military, and I watched in the 90s, late 80s and 90s. There was a lot of well, cable TV is not what it is today. After midnight, all night long, there'd be infomercials. And there was this guy called Carlton Sheets. Anybody remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just have to listen to that book recently.
Okay. So everything he had to say, I ignored. I mean, it was one of those too good to be true kind of a deals, but it gave me an idea. And I was in the military, but I was also going to college. And one of my professors was a real estate agent. And so I started talking to him. He educated me on the income approach. Actually, one of the other students was his father was an appraiser. So anyway, I tapped into those resources. I built my first pro forma, and I was like, holy cow, I can buy this duplex, no money down, use my VA loan. Actually, I think I financed my closing costs. And after everything is said and done, my portion of that I came up with every month was less than $100. So I was a little pleased. And I bought it at a really good time. Now that part, I was lucky. And I sold, made a lot of money, and I took that money and I bought 2 fourplexes and just kept building my portfolio. Then Mike Swope and I met in the 90s. We did a couple partnership deals. It just kept growing. At one point, I had ownership in over 200 units. We've sold, we've kind of changed, and now it's just over 100. It was Danielle's client that actually asked me a question a couple weeks ago. She's like, could somebody do what you did today?
Yeah.
And I don't think you could. Because the rents in comparison to price,
Right.
they didn't both go like this, right? And so, I mean, no money down. I mean, I had, with the rent, I paid less than $100 a month. You can't do that now. You just can't do it. So that's unfortunate. I don't know. I don't have a good answer to tell these people that want to get in the game with that low money down. You probably have answers for them. But we're not seeing it. So anyway, I started a property management company, and that about killed me. I was doing real estate in that. I volunteered for NARCM. I was a national president. I traveled all over the country. I was an instructor. I did a lot of consulting. That was the most rewarding part. Honestly, was going to all these other offices and showing what I had for processes. This is before software really, you didn't have real process software. Property management was a mom and pop kind of a deal. Yeah. And that's no longer the case. And now there's a lot of software and processes that can be replaced. Anyway, that part I loved, and but life got complicated. I had to simplify, so now I just focus on sales, and I'm even contemplating on where I'm at on that picture as well. We'll get into that. So that's me. I try to race cars, but I'm really good at breaking them. Yeah.
And surviving.
Yeah, so far survived. It could change. Uh-oh, I hit this button. What happened? It was going so well. I don't know. I think I hit a button here and.
No, I think it was me. Try again. All right,
Thank you.
you know.
So I think. At this point, well, I'm gonna skip this. We can come back. We had one person last night send in her question. I've had higher vacancy rates and longer time securing tenants, in particular quality tenants. Lowered rents, any suggestions for retention and new tenant procurement? Is Cynthia on the Zoom?
Yes, she is.
Cool.
If you guys have questions, make sure you put it to everyone.
All right.
It's easiest for me.
I will validate that I have seen the same in my own rentals. Tom and I have, one bedroom apartments near BSU. His are a little older, mine are newer and closer to the campus. We talk about rents all the time. In some cases, his rents are higher than mine. Two reasons. Was the lease term. And the sweet spot for BSU used to be July and August. Not anymore. If you haven't got that thing rented out prior to August, it's gonna be tough because those kids are finding their stuff earlier. So now, 2 years now, I've had struggled. And we're now moving those a month earlier.
I can usually give insight on that since I worked student housing for
Let's hear it.
4 or 5 years. That area in general, yes, they start pre-leasing October, November for the following year. So the sooner you can have it available, the better. Most lease terms end in May or July. And that's, people are starting to look at the latest May, June for around that area. And there's just so many new builds coming available, bigger complexes, that has been the issue that I've seen in student housing. You know, this time last year, where I worked was 100% full. Now they're 40% and having to run specials, which in the years that I've worked at that community, never had to run specials.
You said, May through July. What are your termination dates, lease termination dates now?
Mine were all July.
Okay, that's my world too.
July 31st.
Now I'm moving them to June.
June?
Yeah.
Tony and I are probably the only 4 flex owners in this place, so we're having our little private conversation. Thank you for listening. Yeah.
A lot of them May 31st as well. So it's
Yeah.
May 31st or July 31st.
And I may end up going a little bit earlier. The reason I wanted to do, and I'm sorry, Cynthia, we'll get to your question, I promise. The reason I chose July initially was what I found out is if I let them expire in May, they would go ahead and terminate because they didn't want to pay through the summer. They saved, a few months. And so when I pushed it on into July, the chances of them renewing was higher. Crazy, right? So that's why I haven't gone to May yet.
But here's the ironic thing, I rarely rent to a student. Rarely.
Oh, mine are,
I don't think I've ever had more than one student, and my students they're non-traditional. They want peace and quiet. It's not in lieu of a sorority or a fraternity, and that's in my lease arrangement with them. So I don't really have, it's location for me, but not the university location, it's that downtown location.
okay. Cool. So anyway, we'll try to get to Cynthia's question. Is everybody seeing a little bit higher vacancy? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So she's not alone. Cynthia, do you self-manage or do you have a professional manager? We lost you.
She's on mute.
Okay.
Nothing in the chat quite yet.
She says taking longer time. I think that is the market that we're in.
So, was it last year that Boise State was outplacing their incoming students in motels and wherever they could find until that one big,
They still haven't opened it yet.
well, they have
They
it.
have not,
Well, that really messed up a lot of people.
a lot.
And then where the Pizza Hut was, is that gonna be the same quad type thing with student housing?
That one is primarily, that's owned by the school.
Oh, it is owned by,
It's owned by the school, yes.
what happens when enrollment starts?
When it comes to the person you're talking about, it sounds to me like her rent probably was overstated. Or
Well, it could be, yeah.
And it's always been under the market, and that's why I don't have vacancy.
I have-
Because I'm not greedy and I'm not talking about optimal, talking about being reasonable and very fair and hands-on management.
For sure. So we saw rents going up and up and up and up. And then we had the correction, right? Some folks are still here when the market's gone here and they're, you know, I'm not saying that's what Cynthia's going, but if that's the case, yes, rents have softened and you need to be a little more aggressive. I ran this question by a property manager, you know, they were like, well, where are you advertising? Are you providing virtual tours, high quality photos? Photos are becoming more and more important. We used to be able to just use our cell phone and the more professional grade photos are making a difference. It says you have to be on Zillow. So evidently Zillow is where the tenants are going to look. What's the screening criteria? And as far as getting better tenants, gosh, you know, and I think that was another slide that Stacy had on the deck that we may or may not get to, but screening criteria is one of the things, and she's like, are you gonna have to adjust your screening criteria? Not, I heard the property manager saying, tighten it up, so you got good tenants. What we're thinking is are they gonna have to soften them up a little bit because of the demand is lower now? It's not as high as it was. I don't know. I think what Cynthia's saying is she's just not getting a lot of good, strong applicants. And I don't have anything on that, other than getting it out.
I just listed mine in January because somebody gave me notice that it was gonna be available the 1st of March. So I went right on Zillow and by the way, I went on the premium. And there was nothing happening in January. And I was out of the country for a week in February and just got back on Sunday. While I was gone, I started getting some legitimate applicants asking for a tour. And I have a unique approach for anybody that's interested in the rental market with Zillow. And so I require in my ad, I require them to call me. And so when I get this, I need a tour, I have a standard, I say, okay, just read the ad and make sure that I pre-qualify applicants before a tour with a telephone conversation. And I don't vary that. I don't email them and I don't text them. And so that's my approach and it's been working. And then I get to hear their voice and at that point, I know a lot about that tenant because of just years of experience and tenor. Matter of fact, the guy that I ran into when I came back, I would have, in the old days, I would have rented to him over the phone with a handshake back in 1975. But he can't do that now. But I knew enough about, I thought I knew enough about him. And it turns out when I did the check, everything they said about his employer and his prior landlords said exactly what I knew about him in 10 seconds.
Oh,
So that's my approach with Zillow. And Zillow was really responsive when I had an issue, because I'm below low tech. And so I called Zillow and they are always responding to me and helping me through the process.
but you said something, you said you got legitimate, you finally got legitimate, I think that's what you said. So does that mean you get a lot of not legitimate inquiries?
Yeah.
Because that would really bother me.
Well, first of all, they're all strange names.
Okay,
Okay, so it sounds like I'm biased, but you know, I'm not getting any Smiths and Jones. These are names that I'm not familiar with, and maybe I am biased, but then they would come in with this was standard. Score, FICO. 670, 650 to 775, income, $49,992. So at this point, I'm saying, what?
so they're providing that,
That's phony stuff.
okay, gosh, anybody else use Zillow?
Yeah, I do like Zillow, but it's way too easy. First button they hit is, I want a tour.
Yeah,
And so that's kind of poking you and
Huh.
I try to respond to everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out and.
Yeah, sure.
Let them claim discrimination.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm also actively calling or making contact with them. And it's kind of cool because then there's a record of our interaction together. And I can ask them to, I still like to use my application. I'll accept the Zillow application, but I want some further information.
So is Zillow, because what was the Craigslist? Is it Craig? Yeah. Is that gone now? Isn't that?
Craigslist is
It's still
gone.
going.
Could be.
It's still around, but nobody uses it really. for
Table Rock
anything
posts.
legitimate.
Table Rock has all their communities post 3 ads a day per unit
On,
on it. So it's just flooded with Table Rock. So
oh, okay.
you can't find anything else.
Well, I always thought they could. Craigslist could fix all their problems if they would just charge $1. The fact that it was free was what made it easy for all them scammers to get on there and get them work with.
So Tony, with the professional managers,
Yeah.
when they're using Zillow, what if people want a tour? I mean, is there an automatic response from the property managers?
I don't know, do you know,
How do they respond?
Danielle's got?
So we use Appfolio, so we get the guest cards immediately and then we personally respond. And from what I've noticed, a lot of people that we talk to are like, holy moly, I'm getting an actual person, which they're not seeing nowadays. And then we have lock boxes and then our single family homes we personally for them. But we vet them first, have their ID, have a conversation.
I think you may have just hit on an answer to her question. Perhaps she is not personally contacting them and talking to them. That might be an option for them.
And also something that we instill is 3 touches. You know, we call, email and text, not spam them, send them over time, but I feel like we get a lot of responses and it weeds out the spam people. Versus actual applicants.
A lot of people are surprised to get back to them. Say,
Yeah.
wow, you're the first one.
Yeah.
And we have a rule, respond within 2 hours.
I got a little bit to add to it.
Good.
Yeah.
I've been renting properties since 1981, and back in the day,
Yeah.
It was.
that was it.
Yeah.
And
You
then,
want me to
yeah,
go to Alpine or?
well, it's in front yard. And then over time, it became Craigslist, which was great for a long time.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I was still using Craigslist, and I didn't get any response, so I learned about Facebook.
Huh?
And I have to, I'm just divulging here that I do Zillow and Facebook both. I get a few hits from Zillow, most hits from Facebook.
Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, Facebook.
Really?
That's where I get
So
my
you post your ad in Facebook?
Facebook Marketplace. So I'm telling you all, this is a good deal, 'cause-
Well, this is why we're doing this.
yeah, I'm sharing
So
this.
thank you for sharing.
This is where I've evolved to,
And that's free, right?
You can enhance.
Oh, you can, okay.
Can spend a few dollars. But I really didn't care. I don't want to spend my time looking at Facebook. So my name, you have to do it personally. You have to have your name in there. But my picture of myself is a picture of Boise.
Okay.
I really don't want to do the social stuff in Facebook. So you kind of have to be involved with it, but I learned from my niece's husband how to do this, but it's not that hard. And it works like magic to me.
Great.
And
Good to know.
Cynthia, did that answer your question?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I use Facebook and I use Zillow. I get most of my responses from Facebook, and I do get a lot of people that just want a tour right away. And I ask them to fill out an application if they can, that I prefer that. And then we go from there. And what happens on Facebook, 95% of them just don't ever respond to that. And then on Zillow, they usually do, but I don't have very many applications on that. And yeah, I manage myself, and I have apartments, just an 8-plex on the bench. And yeah, I've had a lot of higher than normal turnover the last year. And I think it's because of January, that one took a long time, but it's kind of been a thing on the last couple that have been available. They just get longer and longer.
How do
And
you,
the 1-bedroom went fast. But anyway, yeah, I just I haven't had very good luck lately, I guess.
I'm curious, so you have, did you say 8 units?
Yeah,
And your lease term dates, are they sporadic throughout the year?
1 year. Yeah, they're when they vacate and then
Okay.
it's always a year lease.
One thing I would do is I would avoid those winter terminations. So either make your lease shorter before that slow time or get it through the winter. Because just like the sales market, when they got turkey on their brain, they're
Right.
not rentals. So
Yeah, I
would-
heard that. Yeah.
I would do everything I could to stay out of the fourth quarter, and for that matter, most of the first quarter. Everything else is pretty warm. Is
The
that-
other thing on those false hits on
Yeah,
Facebook.
thanks.
a bunch of them. Did a bunch of false hits, so my standard response, because they just hit a button that says, is this available?
Yeah.
Is this available? And my standard response is, call me at so-and-so.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
So
we've
that-
done a
that
lot
gets-
of people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
get
gets
'em on.
back to the Tom's deal of,
That's a good one.
because only 10% will call.
Oh.
And that gets rid of most of those false ones.
And Cynthia, what I've noticed is how we avoid those winter months is we pitch it as like flexible lease terms. And a lot of people love that option because it feels like it's in their hands. So I feel like that's a good.
So you're
selling
just,
point
but you're
as well.
driving them out of the bad time.
Yes,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Using good terminology. Everybody knows where the bathrooms are, right?
You still wanna go along on the leases? Lock them in?
I do. And it would have paid off when we had this soft, because everybody stopped doing it. I've never been one to maximize rents. And that's another thing, she talked about retention.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't renew it at market rent. If they're here, market is here, I'm gonna find something in the middle.
Little
Like,
nuisance fund.
because turnover is the most expensive part I have. You know, I wish it wasn't, but labor and materials cost a lot, so every time I gotta turn a unit over, I'm spending thousands of dollars. And I'd just rather not maximize rent, and not have that turnover,
It's those guys who've stayed 10 years with me that.
right? Yeah, I mean,
They're never leaving.
yeah, I think that. Move incentives and renewals, I think on the renewals, it's gonna be your lease term dates, get those out of those back full times. I can't believe how quickly time's gone by. We've only got one question. And I know that. Yeah, so I mean, we're supposed to like do a recap, instead of the team, we got one question.
We're supposed to be here until 9, aren't we?
So 8, I think.
Oh, good, okay. Is it? All right, good. What's, do we?
I get second. Can I ask you a question on the
Yes, sir.
turnovers? So at one point, I think when first rate had presented in the past. If you're not in the college market. Isn't the best renewal date, or at least term end date? Wasn't that like May 1st or April 31st?
During your summer.
Depends on the segment, right? But go ahead.
Yeah, I'd put it during spring, summertime months, avoid that November, December, January, February.
Okay.
Other
So
than that, I haven't seen. it.
And that's a good question for
from
them.
like April through July, maybe?
Yes.
So what I liked was close, you know, so when does school end?
Yeah.
The school,
Middle of May?
people don't like to move when school's in session.
Yeah. I see.
And so my strategy was, okay, so school is ending at the end of May. I'd have the lease term maybe at the end of April. Like, well, are they gonna wanna move out at the end of April when the kids are still in school for another month?
I see.
No, they're not. So they're more apt to renew over one lousy month,
I
right?
see.
That was my strategy.
Okay, yeah, maybe you're the one that said that 2-3 years ago. Yeah,
But the market's, it is changing. So I mean, you gotta talk to people who are in the business now,
I
but
guess it's a little bit stressful when I think about all of my renewals coming up on the same day.
yeah.
And then being like, oh crap, I gotta fill like all these units.
And you got all that money going out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I think it makes sense to stagger,
Okay,
you know,
that's kind of what I tried to do, but just wondering.
Yeah, we don't do that, Bodie. We have like March through September,
Okay,
you know, just kind of
For a month or something.
Those are all, you know, my experience, those are all good times. After September, before March, not good, but we don't want them to all permit city to you know.
Cause you're creating your own competition within your own
Yeah,
inventory.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
like to have at least a shot, the latest, when the BSU people come in. I don't wanna miss that last bunch of people coming in from BSU, even if they're coming in a little late. So that means August.
Yeah, you're closer to the school maybe. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm north end and, I'm north end of there too.
So then with it taking longer to fill vacant units, have you guys changed to maybe like a 60-day notice? So you could start advertising 60 days out instead of just 30? Or,
I thought the law changed.
That's for section.
I think one thing that's been really effective, and you'd mentioned it. Yeah, if you just keep your rents below market, you can rent them very quickly, and so what if you cut $50 a month out and you know, you miss a month's rent, that's a lot of $50, and I usually rent within a week, 2 weeks.
I used to build a spreadsheet all the time, because they'd be like, I wanna be here, and we're already a month into it. And I would just show that rent versus if you would have dropped $50, look how much more money you would have been ahead if you would have gone down.
And then people are beating your door down, and you can try to get the quality tenants.
Small
Agreed.
increases.
Sound advice.
So I have a different question if we.
Yeah, good.
So I do a lot of flips and, what I've done the last couple of years is I focused on properties that have an extra lot on them when I buy them. So I buy the house, I flip that house, but I split the lot off. And I build another house, either keep it for rental or sell it. But what I'm finding, recently where I invest, is even though these are platted lots, when I buy them, I go in to give the approvals and the zoning, and the city is saying, well, wait a minute. You can't build on this because it's not big enough, it doesn't have enough frontage, even though these properties have been around for 40, 50 years. So have people seen that? And what I'm having to do now is put a clause in there that I have to go to the city and make sure I can build a lot on these purchases. So is that something somebody else?
What city?
They're in Tennessee or Kentucky typically.
That's where your lots are?
Yeah.
I've been to both states, that's as close as I can get to that answer.
So the standard, I'm building 3 townhouses right now, hope to get that approval soon. The city has the plans and everything, and so I'm hoping to get started on that, but they're up on the bench, they're 25-foot lots, 125 feet deep, they've got the alley access, and I'm going for ADUs, and they allow them.
And that's what I've had to do on some of these properties, is an ADU instead of a standalone, but I'd rather do the other. So you guys are, if you hit the normal zoning here on old existing lots, you're not seeing that issue here.
Well, as long as you have it has to be a 25-foot wide lot. At least.
You put a pretty damn skinny home on it.
Plus the zoning code just changed here, you probably know what Boise,
Yeah.
in December, and now it's much more favorable to ADUs. You don't have to, you don't have to live on it to have an ADU in Boise.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised too, because the cities I'm in have the challenges with affordable housing. That's my focus is that area, but they're being a little sticky.
There's no neighborhood meeting anymore.
Cool.
And, you know, you can't take up too much of a lot. The square footage still applies, but I'm more than 1,900 square feet.
1 story.
No, they're 2-story, but, I'm not gonna do those stairs. But 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath. There's a 1-bedroom above the 2-car garage. They're 0, you know, the share a common wall. So you get big garages. And, I'm seeing some built down on we're building the ones like down on Manitou that Mike Moffin had.
Yeah.
And, those are selling.
So you're building and selling. You're not renting them out.
I may have to run them out a year, it'll kill me, but
Why? Cause then you gotta deal with the tenants.
zoning,
Well, you can,
short-term capital.
depreciation.
Oh, okay.
Right?
At least that's what the one accountant has told me.
Oh. Okay. Makes sense. Sorry, Rick.
That's okay, I'm just curious.
What other? What else?
Along that same line, I'm starting to subdivide two property. And I don't know what lots are gonna be worth, it's kind of, it's a new realm for me, to take a property that's a little bit larger now with the new zoning. You can get more lots. Same. So it's going to be a mystery to me as to what these lots are going to be worth in Boise this summer. So,
You mean what you should pay for them, or what you should ask for?
what I should ask for, I know what I'm paying, I know what it costs a bit.
Well, the developers aren't gonna give me anything. I've responded just for the fun of it. I've responded to a couple of those cards, and I get calls every week. Hey, we'd like to buy your place. And you talk to them for a minute, and they don't even know it's there, and then they'll offer 100,000 for 3 lots. I mean, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
I'm talking about MLS, a legitimate buildable lot. I don't know what they're going to be worth. And that's kind of fun. It's a
Yeah.
mystery. I think I'll be okay.
My guess is you're gonna be fine. New guys, questions?
I mean, I'm in the maintenance business, so I guess your guys' insight on maintenance would be awesome. We do mostly work for larger apartment complexes, but single family homes. We've seen a lot of like gutter cleaning necessity stuff like that, but with luxury services such as window cleaning or pressure washing, do you guys see any benefit of that? Does it add value to the home? Does it add value to the tenant? Help with getting people in, or is it kind of just an added perk to your tenants?
What's a typical cost?
We're pretty cheap, if I'm being honest. Market rate is about 2,400 square foot house. You're looking at 150 to 250 bucks on the outside. We're in the ballpark of 125.
Exterior power wash,
That's for window cleaning.
window cleaning, okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how many windows there are, just, you're going by square footage.
Usually we go by windows, but a lot of companies do square footage just because they're
Okay.
too lazy to go out there and look at the property.
Cost per window?
We charge $350 a pane. And
Outside.
outside, yeah.
Yeah.
And we usually give bulk discounts. So like first rate, I mean, they have a preferred vendor program, so it's a little different for them. It's 15% off, but I looked at a property today out in Caldwell. 32 units. It's all duplexes and townhomes. Total window count 2,080, and they want window cleaning because they promote it as a luxury complex. But I don't like, not all property managers are interested in something like that because they just see it as, I mean, their quote was 4,500, I'm pretty sure, for window cleaning. And some people look at that and they're like, it's not needed. We'll just wait 10 years and replace the windows at that point. So, I mean, it's just a
For
matter of.
luxury, how often would you do? Is that 2 times a year?
Honestly, I assume with them it'd be once a year. That company, they're partnered with Biltmore. It's called Alturas Cap. No, sorry, that's another company. Liberty Asset Management. Liberty Asset Management, yeah. And they promote everything as luxury. So obviously the properties are gonna be a bit more clean, but not all property managers are like that. So figured I'd ask.
Well, I have gutter cleaning done on my properties and depending on location, like. My stuff by BSU, I had very large mature trees, so it's done twice a year. You probably did it. And I power wash once a year. It's hardly siding, so it's a gentle wash, I don't know.
Yeah, soft wash.
But the vinyl siding, freaking go at her. But I think. I personally I'm not worried about the outside windows. So.
You have divided windows? So there'd be like 9 windows, is that 9 times, or does that count as one window?
Are you saying you have French panes? They're divided, they're the older style windows
Yeah.
divided.
The top and the bottom, so I've got. Yeah, I guess there's 6 aside.
9 windows would be just 18 panes most likely, like double hung windows.
Yeah, it's still
Create one
hung.
of them, yeah, would basically be 2 panes per window, in a sense. You guys see value to it though, with like your duplexes, your quads, anything like that?
The way I look at it is like, say it's a one side of a duplex, right? You know, you gotta, when I think about this, I think of like, if I can hire 1 or 2 people to do all of the turnover work, that would include the cleaning. Then the cost of that is gonna be less than hiring a window guy, plus a maintenance guy, plus a cleaner,
That's the pain.
plus a painter. That's gonna probably be probably twice as much if you add all those things
Yeah.
up separately. So
So you're more interested in the turnover maintenance?
probably.
Okay.
Or somebody that can come in and do more than just one thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, if one guy has to show up for 2 or 3 hours and then go to a different job, he's got all the drive time in
Yeah.
there.
All that idle time.
One guy showing up to do 90% of the turnover work, he's on that one job for maybe one or 2 days. And he's not having to travel anywhere else.
I agree.
So maybe something would be like a spring or fall package deal. You mentioned gutters, windows, like throw 3 or 4 of those things together. And then,
Yeah, there you go, package deal, I like it.
I think. Attractive. Keep people busy during the downtimes, maybe.
Makes sense, okay, yeah,
And shovel snow.
did that once, I don't know. I did my plow. It's a lot of work.
I had $1,500 snow removal on one of my complexes. I am this far from buying an ATV with a blade on it. Like, this is a total stock up, man. Yeah. 4 times they were out there, $1,500. Yeah, I think that's a soak.
Well, that's a good question, but we have some complexes, but the question is, okay, there's the sidewalks and then there's the parking,
Yeah,
and we didn't plow any parking.
Oh, you're one of those.
Yeah, for one thing, if you plow it, then if you try to back out over the ridge, that's a problem. So and we didn't have any problems with anybody on parking. Now, and this, we had a pretty good snowfall, of course.
yeah.
So, so we did pay for the sidewalks, but not for the parking lots, and I would do the same thing again. Plan to do it. And not.
How many cars in the parking lot?
How many cars? Well, one of the complexes is about 18 fourplexes.
And those cars were able to get in and out of it with all the snow without.
Oh, yeah. You know, where I live, in my neighborhood, one of the streets got plowed because a bus goes around there, and another street didn't. And the street that got plowed, those neighbors were out having to
Get out of the
shovel
driveway.
to get out of their driveway. I never had to shovel to get out of my driveway. And our street wasn't plowed, so my personal finding was, even though the snow was deep, it was soft, and I just went through. Whereas if it's plowed, then that's a problem. So
Yeah.
we applied that to this.
And they gotta stack it somewhere and
Gotta stack it, so,
they end up taking your curbing out with it and.
yeah, so, and, yeah, where does it go? So, you know, so we kind of looked at this question mark and decided not to plow. I like that perspective. Now, I don't know if that was sidewalks or.
Well, I didn't have a decision, it was made for me,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna be letting everybody know come next year that ain't gonna work. $1,500. Not happy about that.
Wants to shuffle.
Hey, have you ever done it on ATV? It's kind of fun. Problem is I probably won't be around when it's snowing, so. It's not gonna do me any
We'll
good.
be driving race cars somewhere else.
Yeah. All right, what else we got? who all does criminal backgrounds? Criminal background checks? Good.
As long as I can get it on.
You guys, thank you. You saved me from going through my story. Good. I'm not gonna tell you my story.
Well, they come automatically with credit check for us.
Oh, they do. Okay, the service that you use.
Yeah.
That's why I use Zillow, so I can get a credit check. That's
And so Zillow does your credit checks for you?
a type of credit check, yeah.
Yeah. And you get a decision like right away? Okay, so
I use NCR, does anybody else use
never,
personal release, personal contract with NCR,
I don't know who NCR is.
the actual credit reporting,
Okay. How long does it take them to get that back?
same day.
Okay,
No, yeah, I put it in, I get it immediately. And then the criminal report takes about an hour.
well, I think you're doing the right thing by doing your criminal checks. All these things that give you these answers right away, not everybody reports, so they're not foolproof. But you're doing the best you can, so that,
We use acronym.
Yeah.
The credit score comes back right away.
yeah, but
The criminal comes back the next day.
it is next day now,
Next
okay,
day.
because sometimes it takes them a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Out of Spokane, right?
Has anybody ever had the criminal report come back positive?
Where
I
you-
mean, I've never had a negative.
Oh, yes.
Criminal report,
Absolutely.
so you've seen some.
Yeah, I rented to a guy, subject to the credit report. It came back bad.
Yeah.
And I told him, we're done.
Sorry, Charlie.
Yeah.
You hadn't signed the lease.
Well, I signed it subject to a credit report. Well, I guess I actually didn't sign it. But even if I did, it would be subject to the credit report.
Good for you, so you locked them in with the lease, so you had all the options.
Yeah,
They're tied in, but you can say no.
and most people, it's okay, because most people, when you give them the paper that says, I'm accepting credit report, they say, well, I got this problem. And that's when you find out, if people have a criminal history, I'll tell you right away, in my experience. And the other thing I don't really request it, frankly. I request it for guys. I'm not worried about them.
So
Huh.
I could tell you a story about that.
That's been my experience.
So you're not collecting a credit report from every applicant.
Well, that's part of the application, is that they accept credit report request.
Yeah.
But I don't pay for the credit report I do from, and I've never had a problem, but I found in several cases for guys that there are problems with their credit, with their criminal history. I'm talking about criminal history. In every case I check for credit report, but only for guys do I check criminal history.
So that might be what I would call an internal policy that I wouldn't share with anybody else.
Yes.
What I really miss is Earth Point. Earth Point, used to be able to go on there. And you could access Ada County assessor records and show the actual owner.
Huh.
You haven't been able to do it for a few years, so. I guess unless you're a realtor subscribing to that
So-
service,
The actual owner of the property?
property,
Yeah, I think Ada County assessor's site will do that.
they won't give you the address.
If you go in there, you'll see assessment notice. Click that.
Yes,
I'll try it.
yeah, that's how I found it.
I got MLS, we have a back door on that, but Ada County
Yeah.
Assessor's Office, when you go to their website.
Yeah.
You'll see you have the photo of the property, and down here you'll see, see assessment notice, click on that, and then you'll at least see their mailing address.
Cause I would use that to, if they were giving me a reference, I can verify the
Go verify.
reference and maybe
Yeah.
call the real owner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Leon, what does Zillow charge you for the background check?
They charge me anything.
Oh,
Okay. I don't use Zillow very often.
yeah.
I use national credit report, and it's $17 for the full report.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
And did you say Zillow doesn't charge for it?
Now, and there's another service, and I haven't run it in a while, I'm just getting some vacancies now. And, if I accept them, I invite them to pay $29.95.
So you're under
And
the,
they will get they subscribe with us, and then they share the credit report with me, and then they can share it with other people. So they're not
Oh.
paying $29.
that's a good service.
And then do you advertise, so you advertise on Zillow?
Yeah.
How much is that per week? Remember?
I don't know.
I
I
subscribe.
haven't been on there for, the ones that I've had there haven't lasted very long, but I know I'm paying something.
I got on there in January and I paid them the $29 premium. So they would notify me every $14 that it was expiring and they would automatically renew it. And so that was cheap. First, and it can be prioritized with the ads.
Hmm.
$29.
Per month?
It's one time
Oh,
for me.
okay.
I just got off of them yesterday.
AccuNet is more,
Yeah, it's between 20 and 30 bucks. Something in that.
because the criminal background you're doing is state, not national.
Correct.
Yeah, because if you do national, a lot more, okay.
I think the name of that company is Shadow something.
CIA? No.
Black Ops.
What else we got? Do we like the format of the meetings? Are we all pleased? And I think, we have this forum here. I mean, if whatever topics you want, Stacy's really good at getting great speakers that know their stuff and can come here and add value. And so by all means, fill that out and put any topics you want to cover. Any changes, anything.
I'll throw something out I just found out today, actually.
Yeah.
I learned here about staging
Oh, yeah.
for apartments, and this gentleman who came a couple of years ago and gave a really nice presentation. They'll stage and stage an apartment and so on, but now lately, there's virtual staging out there.
Yeah.
So I actually called him today. I can't remember his name. But I left a voicemail, but I got to thinking maybe I can do virtual staging. So I Googled virtual staging, and you can virtual stage.
Yourself.
Yeah, for like $12 a photo. You can buy the software, or you can just have a service virtually stage your rooms. So I have a place that's just being remodeled, and I'm going to take pictures of this place. And then I'm going to pay the $100 or whatever it is to have it virtually staged, which in the gentleman who was here showing them, they had some beautiful pictures. But then they actually moved furniture in, actually did the thing, so it's more expensive. So I'm going to give that a try.
Yeah.
And the samples on the internet look really good, the stage versus not stage.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference. And they have light staging, which not a lot of furniture, but has the decor and whatnot by somebody that knows what they're doing. You wouldn't want me to do it because it would look like a bar. So, and that's cheaper, but gosh, if you could do your own virtual staging, I can really see value in that.
You can buy the software, or you can just have somebody do it.
And it's subscription-based software, I'm sure.
I didn't look that, because I don't want to do it myself, I don't have the talent, but I just want to give
Yeah.
10 or 20 bucks a slot.
Well, that's a good tidbit. And I bet you that helps with the rentals.
Is that a national company or where were they?
Yeah, it's, there's competition.
What have you done?
There were several boom that came up, so I didn't look into it. And the other tip I'll share very briefly is cost segregation. And Bodie told me about this, and I read it, but we did cost segregation last year, and it made a huge difference. So it's cost segregation, and just very briefly, what it is normally you you depreciate your property over, what, 27.5 years is, if you buy a piece of property. But the law says that you can speed up your depreciation on anything that depreciates quicker than 20 years.
Mhm.
So for us, and there's a segregation DIY segregation or something, that's what we ended up using.
Okay.
And it was very cost effective and gave us a huge bump in our depreciation. And if you don't use it the first year, you can continue to keep it. But that was a kind of a game changer for our taxes.
There's a change in the rules coming out where you can only do 80% of the value this year. However, the House has passed, just passed it and set it in the Senate side to take it back to 100% valuation. So that's up in the air if you're doing it this year.
Yeah, you said this year, 2023, 80%, only not 100% for last year. It's only 80%, unfortunately.
But it's supposed to be retroactive, is what I've heard.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's retroactive to 100%. So it
Oh,
used to, the law had said it was going to be 100%, 80, 60, 40.
Yeah,
Then this
yeah.
new law bumps
Oh,
even
good.
2023
Okay.
back. So
cool.
That's
that's
great,
my new problem.
right?
You can get that, but then you lose your step up basis.
No, you don't.
Kicks in.
Lose your step up.
Just kidding.
If you die, then you get a basis stepped up.
So, depreciation makes me think of capital replacements and that, so it's time for me to give you the good news about roofs. First time running into this. The buyer of one of our properties could not get insurance because the roof was over 20 years old. Agent called me and I said, well, who the hell is using, forget them, he's like, I've called 3 people. Wow, so then I reach out to our expert. And she said, yeah, this is the new trend. Because of so many losses related to roofs. Many of the companies are no longer, for new policies, they're not writing new policies if the roof is over 20 years old. Some companies come renewal on existing homeowners policy is now, if your roof's over 20 years old, they're requiring you to get an inspection and get a cert. Or not renewing, or writing around the roof,
They'll
or
exclude it.
or prorate it for its life expectancy, so when it's done, they'll give you $10, to replace it. But worse yet, writing around any of the damage caused by a failing roof, which is really the biggest problem. When the roof fails, it's never good. So, they think that, so that's obviously affecting buyers right now. It's gonna affect sellers, because what do? Replace the roof because they're gonna sell? Or are they gonna have to deal with concessions? I think the prudent thing is to get a roof cert. Your checklist prior to selling is you get a roof cert that says it's good for X amount of time, and hopefully that gets around it. But it sounds like we're all gonna deal with it, come our own personal policies on renewals. Which is stupid because, in some, well, if it's a tile roof, come on. I don't get it. Or even, these 50-year residential roofs that even when all the granulars are gone, they're supposed to be good. So, what? Or metal roof, yeah.
I ran into this. I bought a property last year in May and had got the insurance on it, and part of the roof had been replaced in 2009 and the other part was replaced in 2014. And about a month after we closed,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you have to replace the roof. I'm like, I'm not replacing the roof.
Right.
So I had to end up going to Farm Bureau, actually. Wrote the new policy for me for $1 less per year, so I was happy.
There you go.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear my farm bureaus.
Um,
I have a low slope roof. It was a gravel roof at one point, and I had TOP.
Yeah,
The
the
white-
wiring.
Yeah, and so that's only like 4 years old. Company would buy. canceled my policy and I had to go find coverage, and the one that did cover it excluded the roof. I was
Yeah.
glad to get it.
Gosh, they are, well, I can tell you right now, we knew ahead of time, like cedar roofs. There's nobody that really likes those at all. I mean, cedar shaped roofs. Well, we were representing the buyers and, I mean, I don't know, probably 15 companies, so, but no. And it ended up working out pretty well for our clients because we got the roof one. But, the darn, well, I lost that thought because I got onto that property. The TPO, writing around it. Okay, it'll come back. What else we got? Anything else we need to go over?
I've also heard it's been very difficult if the house you're buying has knob and tube wiring.
Sure.
Much more difficult than it used to be. Like the premium's triple, or there's only one company that may write it.
Huh.
So you have to basically have the wiring redone at a certain time period after closing.
Good to know. That's really cheap.
$6,000.
And no, Farm Bureau,
Well, good.
I have a House Bill 34, I don't know when the wiring was updated. But it was a particular kind of panel, breaker panel. And I don't know if it had aluminum, but it was a certain kind of breaker switch.
Yeah.
That one. And it's a triplex, so. Yeah,
They're tightening up. Oh, that's what I was gonna say was when I reached out to our expert, she gave me some stats on what the losses were. I mean, wow, you know, and that global warming was causing all these problems, but I don't remember what the number was. Anyway, it's going like this. And so the insurance companies are getting creative. But hey, I get it, you know, I don't understand why all got paid for it. I mean, if you want to live in Florida that gets hit by a hurricane every other year, well, your insurance should be high.
well, farmers.
I'm in
used to write
Idaho,
there.
I'm okay.
Farmers used to write there and then in California, but
Yeah, well, the one that's up there sliding off the hills or, yeah. Anyway,
Tony, what's the deal on these resident benefit programs? That it's a fixed cost that tenants pay, some of the bigger property management companies offer them.
yeah,
Is it a revenue? Yeah, I guess I'll just leave it open.
my take,
Question, yeah.
I don't like it,
Okay,
but,
What is it?
so here's the argument.
well, yeah.
They're. The property man, did you guys do resident benefits? Okay. So the property manager says. Hey, tenant, we provide all these benefits. I don't know.
Utility concierge, renters insurance up to maybe.
Liability,
Risk monitoring.
which is really good for the owner. The liability insurance is good. Okay, that's good for you. There's a bunch of other stuff.
renters insurance.
I mean, I guess we have a service where it's like,
Pest control.
yeah,
Yep.
pest control's a big one. Or we charge, like, they can enroll in our insurance, but I always steer them away from it because it's better to have their
You-
stuff and the owner's.
It always is, yeah. But at least the liability is good. And I benefited from it. Like, I had a property that had, bed bugs. And it didn't cost me anything to get rid of them. And the time before I had bed bugs, it cost me thousands and thousands and thousands because it was so bad that they would go in and do their treatment here and they would move over there. So then I had to kick those guys out and treat it, and then they would go over here. I mean, it was like, I wanted to just start drinking and maybe even start other stuff. I was like, holy cow, I can't deal with this, you know? And these poor darn tenants, that's how it was. They moved in. Nobody noticed, nobody saw anything. These nice people move in and they're like, man, we're getting these bites and, oh my gosh. So there is benefits. And I think most of the property managers, like, you bought a used car and you buy the policy, what is it, the extended warranty thing? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, yeah, okay, well, now neither do I. I did a little research, you know, they say, well, your car, okay, it's $4,500. You know, well, 2 of that goes to the guy that just sold it to you. So that part I don't like. But I mean, if you're gonna manage the system, maybe you gotta make a few bucks.
Is that available to the smaller, at a smaller scale to some of the self-managers? Or is it only
Sure.
available to,
I'm sure you could go find the legal liability people and, or some of the insurance agencies do it too.
Mhm.
Yeah, if they went and got their own, I mean, all it does is cover their liability. It's not renter's insurance. It covers their liability, like. They go do their own plumbing and they flood the place,
mm,
it's covered. I mean, I just saw that happen. So I mean, there's good things about it.
mhm.
The pest, and for the landlord. But yeah, a lot of the fee structure has changed. Throughout all of it, you know, back in the day. You collected a management fee.
Yeah. Well, as a business owner, somebody said to me recently, you gotta think of this more as a business. I mean, you're too lenient with your tenants is basically the message. And it's like, you know, you gotta collect the late fees. If you could find a way to drive a little bit more revenue, then do it.
Well, I agree
So
with
it's kind of like,
but I like
got
to
me
make my
thinking,
kids
like,
too,
how
so.
can I make my business more profitable? What'd you say?
I said, I believe in late fees. I mean, if you don't, what's gonna incentivize them to pay? They'll just keep
Right,
waiting and
exactly.
waiting.
Exactly.
There's gotta be that pain. And every day that you don't pay, it's gonna be more pain, you know,
Yeah.
so. Let me get you your check quick, right?
Yeah. So.
And you're working hard. When they don't pay their rent, you're working hard. You're going
Yeah.
through their application, you're looking at their employment, you're calling them, you're like, you're doing anything you can chasing that money down. I think you deserve everything you get from the late fee. It's aggravation, it's, you know,